Making commands passive. A peek into the passive voice in imperative sentences. Hello, English learners. Welcome back to our series on English grammar. Today, we are moving on to an interesting and often overlooked area of the English language: passive voice in imperative sentences. We will learn how to construct passive commands or requests, why we use them, and when they're most effectively employed. Before we delve deeper into the use of passive voice in imperative sentences, let's take a quick refresher on what passive voice is. Normally in English, we construct sentences in the active voice, where the subject performs the action of the verb. For example, active: I wash the dishes. In the passive voice, however, the subject of the sentence is acted upon by the verb. So, our previous example would become passive: the dishes are washed by me. The important thing to remember here is that passive voice puts emphasis on the action or the receiver of the action, rather than the doer of the action. Imperative sentences are commands or requests. They often skip the subject, which is understood to be you, the person being addressed. Imperative, active: wash the dishes. But can we make an imperative sentence passive? Indeed, we can. To create a passive imperative, we simply use the verb be plus the past participle of the main verb. For example, our previous command would become passive imperative: be washed dishes. Although grammatically correct, this example sounds strange in everyday English. We usually use passive imperatives when we don't want to specify who should do the action. A more natural example might be active: open the door. Passive: be opened, meaning somebody open the door. A common place where you see this form is in instructions, especially where the person doing the action is not important. Active: first, you stir the ingredients together. Passive: first, ingredients should be stirred together. You might be wondering why we'd bother with passive voice in imperatives. The primary reason is politeness or formality. Passive voice can make a command seem less direct, hence softer or more formal. It can also shift the focus from the doer to the action itself. It's particularly useful in written instructions or formal announcements. Well, that's all for today's lesson on using the passive voice in imperative sentences. Remember, passive imperatives can make your commands or instructions more polite or formal, and they keep the focus on the action, not the actor. Don't shy away from experimenting with them in your English learning journey. Happy learning, and see you in our next video where we will explore more interesting facets of English grammar.